Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Mona Larson, for the super sticker. Hello. I see I have some comments. What's up, y'all? I have to be honest with you. I'm a little shaken about this morning. I don't know if it's like Mercury in retrograde. I don't know if it's infiltrators and informants and plants, or we're all just getting sick of each other. But I am feeling very emotionally drained with the movement and kind of, I don't know, personally just feel like people are not really giving each other the benefit of the doubt on things and kind of like digging up receipts just to find drama. And not everybody, like, listen, even this comment, I'm feeling like people are going to try to start drama out of it. Like, not everything that's a disagreement is drama, but some of the stuff that I'm seeing is, and I just feel like I don't want anything to do with it. It scares me and it makes me nervous. So I'm trying to just stick to the facts and stuff. But y'all, I'm a very sensitive person. Like, I might come across as being strong and stuff, but I can't take like a lot of unnecessary criticism. Like, valid criticism, absolutely keep it coming. But like, people just picking on people for no reason, it just, I hate it and it drains me. But that's their purpose and that's their point. So there's just there's just like all kinds of things going on, all kinds of places and things. So today, oh shoot, let me pull up my comments section here so that I can see what y'all are saying. A lot of times it doesn't actually like show up on my thing here. Once I pull up my comments, I'm going to pull up the document. So just give me 1 second because I want to be able to see what y'all are saying. Oh, thank you, Marion. Yeah. What did y'all think about the New York Times controlling Britney document that came out last night? Um, Dawn said she still doesn't understand what info is wiped from the USB. I think that it was they had recorded Britney in her bedroom doing all kinds of whatever she does in there. And they had given that USB with the recording file on it to a security guard. And the security guard, I think his name's Alex, said he was instructed to take the information off of there and like delete it. But he said he um, kept a copy. So I don't know what's on there. He probably turned it over to like investigators or something. But okay, so let's get into this here document. What we have here, and I did see on Twitter Emily D. Baker saying that this filing was messy, so it may not actually be like a good filing, but it was filed in Britney's case, and I am, one of the resident court document readers. So we're just going to read it anyway because, it was filed and we should probably just keep up with it. Okay. So we have here, I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. As you can see at the top, it was filed on September 22nd. So a few days ago, but it just hit the docket yesterday. Huge thank you to Christopher C. Melcher, who has appeared on my channel. I think last week he was here 2 weeks ago. He's the one who informed me about this document. He's the one who sent it to me. So if y'all are not following him, do go and follow him or, like his videos and all that because he's a good advocate in the Free Britney movement and also lawyer. Just wanted to give him a shout out here because he's the one who sent me these documents. So, or this document in particular, especially. So we have this guy, what's his name? David Stevenson, who is a medical doctor. He also has a master's in science and he's working on his PhD. He is a healthcare consultant at EM Power Health in New York. So I've never heard of him before. And I think it's just like he's just submitting a declaration. He's saying this is a supplement to the petition to terminate the conservatorship of the person and the estate. So he is, as a doctor, writing in to help sort of give more reasons to terminate the conservatorship. So paragraph 1, he says, David Stevenson, who calls himself Dr. Dave, is a trained, but honestly, thanks. Calling yourself Dr. Dave makes it a lot easier because like all the Mr. and last names is very confusing in the court docs. Dr. Dave is a trained medical doctor with 15 years of clinical experience. So he's already a doctor. He's going back for his PhD right now. Thank you, Larissa. Sam's take on the bad aftertaste of past docs. Um, Good question, Larissa. Remind me of this question at the end and we'll answer it. Um, Long story short, I still don't really know what I feel about Sam Asghari, but my opinion just keeps changing as I get more info. Okay, so Dr. Dave is a doctor and he has been being a doctor for 15 years. So it's not like he's like in med school, like he is a doctor. He has subject matter expertise in the medical and legal aspects of the instant case. So the medical and legal aspects of Brittany's case. He's saying he is an expert on that. And he wishes to provide further perspective from a different vantage point. As the author of this petition, Dr. Dave relies on the inherent power of this court to excuse his non-legalese style of writing in favor of using. Sorry, I keep getting these text messages. In favor of using. Oh, okay. So he's asking the court to forgive him of using non-legalese in favor of using creative elements and a tongue-in-cheek mannerism or tongue-in-cheek mannerisms at times. This is a little, this might be why Emily D. Baker was like, this filing is a little messy. The facts should not take away from the facts and expert opinions he is offering. So he's basically saying, look, I'm not a lawyer. What I'm about to say is I'm an expert in though. So I might not be a writing expert, but I am certainly an expert in this stuff. So don't take, because I don't have all my comments and periods in the right spot as taken away from my experience, because I am an expert. So that's basically what he's saying. And I agree. Oh, thank you so much, Marion. Can't wait to see you too. It definitely will make history. Oh man, I can't wait. Oh, so excited. Okay. So paragraph 2, he says, there is insufficient evidence. So he's saying there's not enough evidence that Brittany needs a probate conservatorship. And it was an abuse of discretion by Judge Reva Gates when the initial order for the temporary conservatorship was placed, without probing the motives of those individuals initiating the conservatorship, without checking the credentials of the declarant physician doing the capacity declaration, or he calls it a capacity evaluation, and by appointing Mr. Ingham as Brittany's lawyer over her personal choice of Mr. Streisand. The last point has been argued in other petitions, and nothing further will be addressed here on that point. So then he says, number 3, the physician, Dr. James Edward Spar, went outside of his area of expertise when making the declaration that extended the conservatorship. Dr. Spar is a geriatrician. He's like an old people doctor. And his practice is limited to the care of the elderly, who are the population affected by severe neurodegenerative conditions like dementia. He is an author of journal articles related to the evaluation of mental capacity of individuals involved in probate court matters, but is solely based on experience of geriatric clients. Okay. For the proponents of this conservatorship, so for Team Con, there's no apparent appreciation for the self-evident fact that Brittany is a highly functional, productive artist, which belies any claim that she does not have the capacity to make decision for herself. So he's saying like, okay, Team Con wants to keep like ignoring the fact that Brittany is obviously able to make decisions for herself. So the fact alone that she's doing all this work means that, this is self-evident and y'all are just ignoring it. According to the authority on the probate code, the eligibility, who's the authority? An authority? What? Thank you, Oscar. What do you think will happen on the 29th? I definitely will answer that question when we're done with this article. Thank you for that. Sorry, this is not an article, this filing. So he's like, according to an authority, I don't know who the authority is, on the probate code, the eligibility criteria is, the following. The inability to properly provide for basic needs such as physical health, food, clothing, and shelter, and where the subject is substantially unable to manage financial affairs and to resist fraud or undue influence. Further, the subject, that's like the proposed conservatee, is generally someone suffering from a major neurodegenerative disorder such as dementia. Okay, so he's basically saying, who's filed this? This is just some random doctor in New York. Generally, in the young, severe mental conditions like dementia that would be appropriate for a probate conservatorship are rare and caused by genetic factors or metabolic diseases that would require extensive workup. There are no reports of Britney having any neurodegenerative conditions in her family history. If that were the case, it would have been most likely reported like every other aspect of her life. If she has a metabolic disease, there are millions of people who would like to have the same, as her health, energy level, and vitality have never been an issue other than those times when she was heavily sedated with psychotropics. In addition, it seems doubtful that Dr. Spar has any appreciation for the fact that young minds like Britney's are responsive to behavioral and lifestyle changes alone, a condition called neuroplasticity that is a well-known phenomenon in the neurological sciences. So I'm not exactly sure like what he's implying here. Like again, he hasn't like seen Britney, so I don't think can like formally make this diagnosis, but he's basically saying like if Dr. Spar actually knew about young people, like Britney was only 26 at the time of this diagnosis, he would have been able to know that there's other reasons, that could have explained her behaviors that were not dementia. But because this guy just specializes, Dr. Spard specializes in like, the elderly and aging population, for that reason, we don't actually know if she has dementia. We don't actually know if he was even qualified. Like you need a real specialist, seems to be what Dr. Dave here is implying. Oh, thank you, Heather. So glad I was able to catch this live. Are we going to be getting your view on the doc that came out? Thanks again for all you do. Be safe. Yeah, we'll talk about the doc, Heather. Thank you for the super chat. We will talk about the doc when I'm done with this, reading this filing. Thank you. So basically, so far, Dr. Dave has said, listen, I'm an expert. I'm not going to be talking in legalese, but you know what I'm saying. There's no evidence that Britney needs to be in this conservatorship. Judge Reva Gates didn't do what she was supposed to do. Then they have this doctor over here whose specialty is old people, has nothing to do with young people. So we don't even really know if Britney got an appropriate diagnosis at all, on top of the fact that none of this stuff was even filed appropriately. So he is an author. Okay, let's see. So he's saying like Britney doesn't even have any, like, if she had dementia that young, she would have probably had a family history of it or some metabolic condition. But from the evidence that he knows from his medical expertise, that is not necessarily, that wasn't considered. And it's not necessarily the case that she has dementia. She probably more likely has something else, if anything, right? But he's just saying like it's unlikely she has dementia. So then paragraph 6, regarding the ability for Britney to provide basic needs such as physical health, food, clothing, and shelter, she is the embodiment of physical health. She hires people to prepare food for her, and when they are not available, she knows how to drive her Mercedes through the fast food lane. Her clothes shopping is legendary and can be verified by Versace, Louis Vuitton, and other Rodeo Drive merchants, and she owns her own mansion. This part of the probate code can be put to rest. Oh, I see what he's saying. So he's saying, look, Britney maybe isn't the person who's cleaning her own house or cooking her own food, but she is able to provide for herself, which is the code. It isn't, are you able to cook your own food? It's, are you able to provide for your own self, right? And he's saying, look, I don't even care if Britney is hiring someone to, so what? If nobody's there, she knows how to go to the drive-through. Maybe that's not the healthiest choice, but everybody who makes that choice when they make it has the freedom and liberty to make it. So he's saying like she can clearly provide for herself. So we don't have to actually even ask ourselves whether or not she can provide for herself. Look, she can. She does, is what he's saying. Number 7, the undue influence portion of the probate code is more complicated from a medical legal standpoint. I never saw that word hyphenated like that, medico-legal. So he's saying there's another test here, and it's this undue influence. So he's tackling the code as a lawyer would. First part of the code, is she substantially unable to provide for herself? Well, he's saying no. Clearly, she has a mansion, a Mercedes. She has all these things that she's provided for herself. She gets in the car and goes to eat when she wants to. She hires people to cook her food. So she's clearly providing for herself. So he's like, fine, that moving to the side. Next, there's this part of the code that says there's undue influence that has to be taken into consideration. So he's saying now that portion of the code is more complicated from a medical legal standpoint. From Dr. Sparr's most recent, published articles related to practitioners making capacity declarations. So he's citing Dr. Sparr's own articles against him. So this is what Dr. Sparr said in his most recent article, that when the issue is undue influence, he does not believe the treating physician should be the one making the judgment because they may be influenced too much by family members. Oh my God, what a good finding. Instead, it should be left to an independent evaluator like Dr. Sparr. Wait. Hold on, just reading the next couple sentences to orient myself. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I'm glad I stopped and read that. Thank you for your patience. So, Dr. Sparr has said he doesn't believe the treating physician should be the one making the judgment. So, do y'all remember when Britney Spears, like, she already had her own doctor back in 2008? And Gerald Dean tried to get that doctor to declare Britney or to do the capacity declaration for Britney. And that doctor said his lawyer told him he doesn't want to do that. His lawyer told him not to do that declaration. So in this filing we're looking at here, Dr. Dave is saying, okay, well, look, Dr. Sparr, another thing about him, he writes all these articles. So let's look at one of these articles. He said he doesn't think that the patient's actual doctor should be the one making the decision because the family can influence them. So instead, it should be left to independent evaluators like Dr. Sparr. So that's kind of like a making people come pick him type of thing, right? So Dr. Dave here says, the stance is a new one for Dr. Sparr, being promoted by him and is opposed by the IPA task force. Recommendations in both the American Bar and American Psychological Associations, right? So we have all these recommendations from all these associations, task forces, etc. And Dr. Sparr is going right against them and saying, no, he disagrees with them. He's saying he should be the one making these evaluations, not the treating physician who actually knows the patient. Now, listen, if I'm going to be put in a conservatorship, I absolutely want my doctor who I was able to choose years ago and who I've worked with, who's seen me through all kinds of life struggles and things. I want that doctor who knows me to be the one making the evaluation. Now, that's my choice. Maybe not everybody knows and trusts their doctor, but from my perspective, it makes more sense that the doctor who actually knows this patient would be the one making the report, not just some random like James Sparr who just showed up out of nowhere. And it would seem that the American Psychological Association and the American Bar Association agree. So then Dr. Dave says, a common sense approach to making decisions about undue influence would require an evaluation of whether the influencer, usually family members, has an agenda. The jury is still out on whether the treating provider is the one to make that call or whether someone like Dr. Sparr. What if Dr. Sparr, however, is the one with the agenda? What he proposes would certainly concentrate the decision-making power in too few hands and could certainly lead to corruption. Exactly. And this is all common sense. And I love that he used the word common sense because we have to get back to that. In the courts, people have completely abandoned common sense. It's like, oh, well, the rule's this and the rule's that, and there must be a reason. No, baby, this is corruption and criminals. Like, no. If it doesn't make common sense to you, chances are somebody is profiting or benefiting in some way that's improper. So he's saying we should look into these things about whether people have agendas. But what about if Dr. Sparr has an agenda? His word alone is going to take all the power, constitutional rights, and everything that Britney has lost away from her and give it to someone else. So what about that? Y'all just not going to figure that in? And also, something else that he hasn't mentioned here yet is Dr. Spar has appeared on panels with Reva Gates. So they're friendly. Reva Gates, Sam Ingham, and Dr. Spar have appeared at Beverly Hills Bar Association's events together on panels, speaking together about the same topics. So they all know each other. They're probably friends. Is he suggests possibly, okay, so he's saying what Dr. Spar proposes would certainly concentrate the decision-making power in too few hands and could certainly lead to corruption. Possibly, Dr. Spar is suggesting that only those qualified to make these decisions would be highly degreed practitioners of both law and medicine that you would only find at academic centers, which are places constantly looking for more funding. Okay. Okay, so what he's saying is there's only a few people who can really do that. If what James Spar is saying is correct, then there's only really a few people who can even make these evaluations. And those people would be working in situations where they would be susceptible to financial manipulation or being influenced with someone else's money because maybe they would be looking for funding. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying what he said in the filing. In his academic writing, Dr. Spar seems to be promoting his own agenda with his unsupported stance around the role of a non-treating practitioner versus an independent evaluator such as himself. So in his academic writing, Dr. Spar is creating this dichotomy where it's like, no, you can't trust your actual doctor, the one who's already treating you. But you can trust me. I'm an independent evaluator. Like, see my link below or whatever, right? Then Dr. Dave says, maybe Dr. Spar is right, or maybe he will be using this self-appointed power to have leverage where there are large fortunes at stake and too many others willing to cut shady deals. Dr. Dave, you better tell them. Who knows? Anytime there is concentrated, unbalanced power, this kind of thing is possible. Who knows? This is exactly right. Who knows? There's no harm in having the author, with his own medical legal knowledge, to point this out. It is important to get the kind of thing, it is important to get this kind of thing right, given the potential for corruption and abuse. Agreed. For instance, it is said that Britney herself is reportedly missing up to $600 million that is unaccounted for. Stops. Investigate Stonebridge. Okay. This is so funny. This kind of money provides a lot of motivation for abuses of power when the decision-making authorities are confined to a few individuals who are not accountable to anyone. Agreed. It's just common sense. Paragraph 8. In as far as any proclivity to be unduly influenced by others to the point of being exploited, it is not supported by any known facts. Even though Britney lived a life under the microscope, even though her spending sprees can be taken by some as excessive, when it is put in the light of her enormous wealth and prospects for continued earning with both music and product endorsements, Britney has the reputation of everything she touches turning to gold. Not just music either, as she has endorsements for a perfume line that is said to be in the hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars in revenue. In a free society, it is not appropriate for anyone to impose their opinions as to what another individual spends the fruit of their own labor on. I'm going to say, generally I agree. Like, there's exceptions, of course, to everything, but like, I agree. Nobody should really be caring what Britney's spending her money on because it's hers. Ironically, sorry, I was reading something. Ironically, the only evidence of exploitation to Britney has come about by those who benefit financially from the 13.5-year conservatorship. This has been revealed in documentaries such as featured on Netflix by the New York Times. Oh, that wasn't Netflix. It was Hulu and FX, which has been viewed around the globe. There's also many media reports and much news on social media from witnesses to the abuses. Oh, that's not me. Most notably is the testimony of Britney herself, live in the courtroom on June 23rd. Here are some snippets. I've been in denial. I can't sleep. I'm depressed. I'm traumatized. I'm in shock. I'm so angry it's insane. When rationalizing why everything has happened, she states, I honestly think they are trying to kill me. She also added that she'd previously complained to this court about the abuses, but it fell on deaf ears. Oh, thank you, Diego. Love your videos. Thanks for sharing the docs. We have another Britney Law Army member here, lawyer in Brazil. Okay, number 10. While Britney was clearly experiencing barriers to success in her personal life, those barriers were largely external, not internal. They were created by a mob of paparazzi that was constantly stalking her and her family, acquaintances, and managers who only looked at her as a cash cow or an ATM. Britney is not only a world renowned pop star, she is a human with social and emotional needs. And she, like anyone else, is likely to have periods of self doubt, trouble coping, and at times even a depressed mood. She's not a circus animal to be worked tirelessly without usual human care. That is what she and others have reported. Oh, man. Number 12, the reported mental breakdown where she made, quote, bad judgments like cutting off her hair, driving with her child in her lap, or locking herself in a bathroom are pedestrian mental health events and do not require anything approaching the harsh sentence she has received. And I like that he calls it a sentence because with what is Britney has gone through, it is a sentence. It is state imposed, and it is a restriction of her liberties. It's a violation of her liberties imposed by the state. So she has been sentenced. And so, I mean, I don't even think you need to put the sentence in quotes, to be honest. I don't know why I put that green. It was supposed to be yellow. Okay. In addition, it appears that Britney was experiencing postpartum depression. So he's not saying she was, he's saying it appears that she was. So he's not diagnosing. He's saying, from what it looks like to me, it looks like she was. Having delivered 2 boys with successive pregnancies. So she was pregnant for like an entire year, basically. Like 2 entire years, basically, because she like had the first child, and then within a year, she had the second child. Anyone with an ounce of compassion could understand trying to protect a suckling child in the arms of a new mother, which was the case when Britney was taken from her home on an emergency 5150 hold. Maternal instincts require that she would not want to give up her baby. Oh, thank you so much, Zach. Oh, of course, you're welcome. Number 13. In fact, any mental health concerns Britney had could have easily been managed by a health professional invested in putting Britney on a path to success. Any mental health concerns Britney had could have easily been managed by a health professional who is invested in putting Britney on a path to success in both her private and public lives. Further, it could have been managed in the privacy of her home through a telehealth, electronic, and or mobile platform, or with home visits from a provider given her resources. This would obviate the need to parade her. So this would like get rid of the need to parade her in front of paparazzi for mental health care visits out in the community. She spoke of this embarrassing situation on June 23rd. It is a fact that Britney has suffered immensely during the 13 and a half years of the conservatorship. The best illustration of this is her own words. I honestly think they were trying to kill me. Hello. Hello. I honestly think they were trying to kill me is a quote. And she's still in this conservatorship with these same abusers in charge of her. Like, how is this still happening? If this is what being a lawyer is about, take my license. This is this is slavery. She said, I think they're trying to kill me. And she's still in the conservatorship. How does this work? During her testimony on June 23rd, her entire speech was cogent and coherent, even to someone not trained in the clinical interview. No diagnosis or declaration of capacity precludes an individual from being taken seriously when they are expressing physical or emotional harm in such a convincing manner. I agree. But it was not the first time she had expressed such to the court. Again, he's reminding the court, she already told y'all this, and you still didn't do anything. But it fell on deaf ears to this court and her personal attorney, Sam Ingham. Number 15. Here are the harsh conditions imposed on her during the conservatorship thus far. A. Social isolation. She was cut off from her usual social support connections. Loss of autonomy over her body. She was forced to have treatment and medications she did not want and had loss of her reproductive rights. C. Restriction of movement and freedom. She is guarded 24/7 by security guards who enforce the restrictions on her movements out of the house, such as going for a drive with her boyfriend. All this, even though Britney is not a criminal and she is not a threat. She is a threat to no one. Certainly, no one is trying to harm her intentionally. No one is trying to harm her intentionally, although it might be possible for her to be suffocated from all the hugs her fans want to give her due to the abuse she has been going through. Okay, so he's saying no one is trying to harm Britney intentionally, which he has no way to know. So that's not a fact. There could be people out here who are trying to harm Britney. Like, she's always going to need security. D, inability to benefit from the fruits of her hard labor. Exactly. And this is where the trafficking and human ownership issue comes in. Having others around her benefiting more than her from her work is probably distressful. Her hard work is detailed in paragraph 16. Okay. All these conditions are individually damaging to one's psyche and collectively much more so. So if you take all these little things, they're damaging. But you put them all together, it's a really big deal. He's saying it's even worse. The worst thing of all is the way Britney was gaslighted and forced into treatment with heavy psychotropic medications she did not need. There seems to have been a concerted effort to convince Britney that she had a serious, irreversible mental condition, such that at the age of 26 years old, the best years of her life were already behind her and there would be limited quality time with her beloved children in the future. These are facts that can easily be inferred when one's own father, family, managers, personal lawyer, and even personal doctor are in on the profitable scheme through not only words, but through their heavy actions. They're participating in the scheme. One measure of someone's work ethic is the work product. And for Britney, her hard work has placed her into the very fabric of the world music scene. On Google, one just needs to type in the first name Britney to get information about her. Here's a reminder to Dr. Spar, the judges responsible. Here is a reminder to Dr. Spar and the judges responsible for this conservatorship for the past 13 and a half years as to the top accomplishments of their conservatee. And he puts their in italics because he's basically saying, y'all are just as guilty, judges. Then he has some bullet points. First, her debut album is one of the best selling in history. Her Baby One More Time hit is the best selling single of all time and has the singular distinction of being the number one hit in every country that charted it. The accompanying video, in the author's experience, was so impactful that it started a noticeable change in school-aged girls in the way they dressed, in their attitudes, in their confidence levels, and they continue to be influenced by Britney. Her highly successful debut is a product of Britney's appreciation for first impressions, and the athletic skill added to musical performance is a testament to her work ethic, even as a child. She didn't just knock it out of the park. She knocked the crap out of it out of the park. The world took notice. Her album Blackout has been added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it ironically was created the same year she was undergoing the alleged mental breakdowns that led to the 5150 holds and eventually to the conservatorship. Her music videos have been awarded MTV's highest honors, and she's given iconic performances at VMA Productions. She has also won a Grammy, the highest achievement in the music industry. She's the youngest artist ever to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Really? I don't know if that's true. That true? I think Shirley Temple had one when she was real young. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Her fragrance line has grossed over $1.5 billion worldwide. She has had a successful comeback despite the constraints of this conservatorship. The Piece of Me show in Las Vegas grossed approximately $138 million over a period of 4 years, during which time she only went out on the town twice. She is known worldwide as the Princess of Pop and has an Instagram following of over 34 million fans, which is growing every day. There are groups on Instagram She most likely is the most photo or videographed person in the world. I don't know what this is. Their groups on Instagram means. Thus, when Britney sings "You Better Work, B," it comes from a place she knows well. Literally. Never has it been heard by someone standing in line to see Britney. I can't wait to see what Britney's management has done. Or I spent all this money because Jamie is the greatest person and I want to see what he has helped to create. No. All the fans are there solely to see Britney. Period. She deserves every penny coming to her. Good point, dude. Because I see a lot of times, I anticipate once this all goes to litigation, that they're going to all start saying, like, we made Britney who she was. She was nothing until we gave her voice lessons. We gave her dance lessons. We did her costumes. We did her tours. They're going to start saying that. And this guy's saying, okay, cute. But when those fans are standing in line, are they saying, oh, can't wait to see Robin Greenhill and Lou Taylor? Hell no. They want to see what Britney Jean Spears is about to do. And that is who is the artist. The personal conservator in Britney's case is not qualified to handle the task and should be removed. Britney is vulnerable to misuse by the medical profession due to her fame and wealth and potential need for future mental health services as an occupational hazard, largely because of the external factors that go with the life of a rock star. It is apparent that the personal conservators of Britney have participated in doctor shopping, have only employed those physicians willing to support the enterprise, which Jody Montgomery has benefited from immensely. Tell him. The enterprise even brazenly has its own motto: isolate, medicate, liquidate. A motto that has been seen often on social media. And this is larger guardianship and conservatorship abuses in general. Few people in history have had to deal with the amount of fame that comes along with being a musical icon. Too many of them have checked out of this world well before normal life expectancy. Good point, dude. Few people in history have had to deal with the amount of fame that comes with being a musical icon. So many of them die young. Thus, the position of personal conservator of Britney will require that they have enough medical knowledge to both seek appropriate care when it is needed and to step in and question the care when it is not needed. Jody Montgomery. This is called a gatekeeper function, which is usually a general care physician. Case in latter point. The well-documented involuntary admission into a mental health facility when Britney was charged $60,000 for the month out of her own pocket, and the use of first-generation psychotropics like lithium that are rarely used and only in the most severe, intractable mental health cases. So he's saying, like, look, they did this. This was way outside of necessary, and somebody should have been a gatekeeper saying, you can't do that. And Jody just didn't do it. But again, Jody would say she wasn't actually the conservator at that time. And that's going to have to be something that they sort out in court. Number 21. Britney has a loyal fan base of millions of fans who love and adore her both as a person and a performer. Many of them are trustworthy professionals who would never think to exploit her in a way that she has been for the last 13 and a half years. Bludgeoned and defiled by the unethical participants while this court has tied her hands. I don't know what he put that in there for, but he's basically saying, like, hey, Britney, like, maybe you can get your doctors from the movie. I don't know what this is about, but I do really like this sentence. Many of them are more trustworthy. Many of them would never think to exploit Britney in the way that she has been for the past 13 and a half years. Okay, this part, I like this part. Bludgeoned and defiled by unethical participants while this court has tied her hands. What good imagery, right? Like, imagine, like, her hands are tied and they're just bludgeoning her. They're just beating her to get money, like a piñata. And here's the court back here with tying the hands. Okay, now he's going to tell us the reasons to terminate the conservatorship. Paragraph 22. It has never been established why Britney needs a probate conservatorship, and there is no compelling or legal medical reason to be in one. Period. And this is it. The end. I won't make this a different color because I'm just like, hello. It has never been established why Britney needs a probate conservatorship. It has never been established. It has never been established why Britney needs a probate conservatorship. Period. There's no compelling legal or medical reason for one. What y'all doing? The treatment of Britney under this unnecessary conservatorship has come at a great cost to her estate and to her mental health and well-being, and probably her physical health. Jody Montgomery and Jamie Spears do not have the best interests of Britney foremost and should be removed. Period. Period. If Britney insists on having a conservator in her personal and professional capacity, there are plenty of others who would fill the role responsibly. And, Britney doesn't insist on it. She wants out. There are better options available for Britney to assist her in becoming a strong, independent, and successful woman. And listen, Britney is already a strong, independent, and a successful woman. We don't need anyone to help her become. She already is strong, independent, and successful. We don't need conservators. We don't need better options. We don't need nobody telling her what to do. Britney has the ability, the capacity, and the right to choose the people who she trusts and to make mistakes. She might choose someone and get bamboozled and they might steal from her, and that's her right. That's not proof she needs a conservatorship. That's a human right to trust people and make choices and maybe even be fooled and tricked. What? I get fooled and tricked by my financial advisor and now I need a conservatorship? Like, she's already strong, independent, and successful. She don't need anybody's help to do that. What she needs is out of the conservatorship. So then he puts his references like this is a academic article, and that's it. So it doesn't look like he actually served this upon, like he didn't file a proof of service. So this may end up actually even getting rejected. But yeah, so that's that document. Yeah, good point, HM. As we as fans can look to services like Bandcamp to directly support artists and creators, right? And stop giving all these middle people money. And I see it is starting to happen with YouTube as well. So y'all just be aware that I have seen, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I have seen some pretty predatory contracts coming out of deals that advertisers, companies, corporations, entities, etc., are trying to make with YouTubers. And I also have seen some predatory management deals where they're trying to make them with YouTubers. And it's kind of like, I think they see like the door is opening, the veil is lifting on the Hollywood thing. And they're like, how can we exploit other people and get money out of other people who maybe aren't necessarily as sophisticated in the contract negotiations as we are. You know what I mean? So I'm just telling y'all, like 5-10 years from now, you heard it here first. YouTubers, people making YouTube videos, creators, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, they're being taken advantage of and exploited in these contracts. And also in management deals, they're being told what to say and what not to say. They're being put out as products exactly the same way as these pop stars were in the 2000s. And we're going to see, we as consumers of this content need to be cognizant of that. The same way that they treated Britney in 2007, they got some people out here talking the same way about 15, 17, 19-year-old YouTubers. And it's like, you can hold someone accountable and still give them the benefit of the doubt as a child. And we're really not really better than other people by constantly picking on children. And I'm telling you, it's happening right now with these management deals. Like they're trapped and there's no way that they can speak and they don't own their channels. It's the same stuff. It's happening. We have to stay vigilant. Yeah. So about this document, it is a great doc, like Jesse Miller said, but he doesn't have standing. He's saying the factual truth though. Exactly. That's kind of where I don't think this is going to change anything in Britney's case. It's just kind of fun to like see somebody like, and another thing like piling on. Judge Penny. So I know a couple of y'all wanted to talk about the Controlling Britney Spears documentary that just came out last night out of nowhere. Sorry, just like adjusting this. It just came out of nowhere and I was very surprised. I don't want to seem like I'm being negative because first of all, I'll say the positives first. The security guard, I think his name is Alex. I could tell that he was very nervous and scared, and his life probably is in danger right now. Like, if I had to guess, I think that the threat of like, don't get too close, people have a way of disappearing. Like, disappearing how? Like, so I'm very glad that someone from Black Box Security is blowing the whistle. I'm very glad he saved that evidence. I'm very glad he saved the recordings that were illegally taken of Britney in her private room. I'm very glad the New York Times interviewed him and put it out. I'm glad Felicia gave us a little more information. So I think like there was no information there that I was like, this is bad or stupid or wrong, right? I just wish, and I just keep waiting for someone to finally do the documentary on Lou Taylor, the alleged reported mastermind behind the conservatorship. Now, that being said, the devil advocate position here is this documentary that they produced was clearly a part of now what's going to be a series, right? Framing Britney. The first one's called Framing Britney. The second one's called Controlling Britney. And maybe they made that editorial decision to focus on these people and these facts and not Lou Taylor, because Lou Taylor is not really necessarily still involved in exactly the same way. It's like Black Box Security is a danger to Britney's life, right? Jamie Spears being her conservator is a danger to her life, in my opinion, from what I can tell from public record. So maybe the New York Times was like, all right, before this court date, let's hit them with like, she's in danger. And maybe they're going to do a Lou Taylor documentary. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But that's the one big thing that always just stands out in my mind is just kind of always like, there's so much that happens in this case that you always are going to have more to the story. And so I guess, I want to be fair about it and say, listen, they didn't go back over the whole 2008 thing all over again and the 2007, which is good. Apparently, like Sam Asghari made certain comments like, I hope that the people who are making these documentaries are donating the money they make from it to like fighting injustice or something, which I think is like not exactly fair. I don't think it's fair. And this is the reason why I don't think it's a fair criticism. Sam Asghari only recently started criticizing anybody for anything, right? And while I do believe that there are fair criticisms to make of the documentaries that have come out, I do not think a fair criticism is they shouldn't be making the documentaries at all. Because regardless of what we think, it was most likely in some of these people's best intention that they were trying to help Britney get her story out. Now, if you're so cynical that you can't even believe that, then we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But Sam Asghari criticizes no one and nothing in Team Con. I mean, he's called Jamie a name once and stuff, but like, if this is the hill you want to die on, like people making the general public aware that Britney's being trafficked and exploited and abused. Again, I think he was also referring to the Netflix documentary and devil advocate again. This is like critical thinking. Some of y'all might call it waffling, but I regret to inform you this is how you're supposed to think about things when you're supposed to consider all the variables, right? So the devil advocate position is Sam Asghari knows something we don't know about the Netflix documentary. And, maybe if that's true, I'll be eating my words later. Sam I mean, is Sam gonna donate anything to fighting injustice? Because, like, I have reason to believe he's making more money now than he was before he met Britney, too. So, him making waves about different things which allow him to have more opportunities, like, is he gonna donate money to injustice? I mean, again, I am on the fence about Sam Asghari. I don't have a strong feeling in my heart, like, yes, he is Team Con, or he was, or he's definitely for Britney. I don't know. Y'all. And I know a lot of y'all have already come to your own conclusion on it, and you're going to be mad at me because I haven't taken your opinion up on it. But I'm telling you, I don't really have a strong opinion. one way or the other. I see both sides. I see how both could be true. And I definitely think both sides of this argument have had compelling arguments made, right? And that's why I haven't decided, because I think there are compelling arguments to both sides. And if y'all want to be mean about that, do so. But I promise you, it's not helping you convince me or anyone else by being rude and mean. It's like logical to consider both sides. So it feels as though he was part of the TMZ defamation machine. I hope he's not part of it. I hope, okay. Completely agree. I hope he's not. He didn't call out Hulu and New York Times. Okay, another good point, right? So I'm saying there's like a lot of just different factors to consider. I don't feel like I have enough information to make a intelligent stance, right? LD212 said, well, he didn't call out Hulu and he didn't call out New York Times. But it was like when the Netflix and the CNN ones were released, that's whenever he called them out. But then, devil advocate for that one, LD212, is some people would say, well, Britney called those out. So he didn't have to because Britney called him out. You know what I mean? But I mean, good point. Like this is the first time he's called anything out. What are your thoughts on Team Con hiring actors? Did y'all see this? Sorry. Where's my water? 1 second. Did y'all see or notice? I think I'm going to watch it again because I just was like so shocked. Like I didn't even know it was coming out. But the security guard said that Team Con, the conservatorship team, through black box security and all of that, had actually hired actors to gather information on people at the Free Britney rallies at first. And I mean, honestly, like I'm going to be at the Free Britney rally. And I feel very scared. Like I have trust issues now. Like even some accounts that I've like known for a long time, I'm kind of starting to think like, oh God, are they like an actor? Are they hired to gather intel on me? Like I'm scared. Like my name wasn't mentioned, thank God. So some Free Britney accounts were actually mentioned in an article that the New York Times published, that the security team had like profiles on some of the Free Britney advocates, including Kevin Wu, Free Britney LA, and Meg Radford. They had classified her as like a high risk advocate to the conservatorship. So as far as I'm aware, my name was not mentioned anywhere in there, thank God. But I don't know, like it just makes me think like there's probably just actor, like basically now it's like when people are being mean to me on the internet, I'm just gonna assume they're an actor. Like they were profiling them before you joined, right? So the article says that it was from an email July 2020, and that is the month I joined the Free Britney movement. And then August 2020 was also a reference they made to the list. So August 2020 was the very month that I found out about Lou Taylor being connected to Stonebridge and Britney having money in Stonebridge and the $600 million. And we were asking questions. So it's the very month that happened. So it was a little surprising to me that my name wasn't in there because like people were protesting outside of TriStar because of the findings that I made. So but I am not complaining. Please keep my name out of your weird lists. Weird profile people. You should have security. I would love to have security, but that costs a lot of money and I cannot afford it. But I have a very, very good security system and I definitely believe in the Second Amendment. So come around here trying to start some stuff and it's not going to turn good for anybody who's coming over here that means to do harm to me. You're going to maybe leave with a few more extra holes. Maybe. I don't know. It's not a threat. It's just possible. Whenever my daughter posts something against Team Con, her Instagram doesn't work. And more stories like this need to come out because the movement is being suppressed. Please look into Stonebridge, Brazil. Okay. Yeah. Why high risk? Because they said this movement is a conspiracy because they were afraid all this would happen and come to light. And that's it. Ezra, it's because they're scared it's coming to light. And it's coming. It's coming to light. And also want to tell y'all a little teaser for something else that I have coming down the pipe. So, and then I'll go. This is a little exclusive for those of you who stayed around long enough. So in May, CNN's entertainment reporter Chloe Malos contacted members of the Free Britney movement to interview us for a TV special that she was doing in May, right? So she didn't contact me, and I had maybe heard of her, but she wasn't on my radar. I didn't really know of her, really. You know what I mean? So I had in May just done an interview with the Daily Mirror UK, and it was great. It was a live interview, so there was no editing, and I just got to say what I wanted and everything. And I'm really good at lives because it's like what I've been doing since I started in the movement. So the people who Chloe originally reached out to, they weren't so comfortable doing this interview because they had already known, and I didn't know this at the time. And it wasn't like they were keeping it from me. They probably thought I knew that Chloe was a Team Con plant. So she has always made stories that kind of spin the conservatorship as to being not as bad as Free Britney would say. I mean, she published an article that said, there's no need to free Britney Spears, says people closest to her. You know, that was the title of it. So they, I think, were like not really sure exactly like what she was going to try to do and twist. And so they were like, BJ, would you be willing to do this interview with her? Because we, we think you'll be able to navigate her tricky questions if any of that happens. And I said, of course, of course. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm not going to say anything other than what I would normally just be saying. But yeah, sure. So I'm proposed, and I'm making a video on this. It's coming. Like, this is just a teaser. There's going to be screenshots, receipts, emails, all that stuff, timelines, and all that. But in this email that gets sent, Chloe basically, says, oh, I was also wondering if I could interview other people too, like maybe some of the people who were on the New York Times documentary. And I thought that was insulting because two reasons. One, it's like, what I'm going to say is not good enough for you. You need to ride on New York Times clout. And two, it made me think that the messaging that I was going to deliver wasn't going to be given, right? Because some advocates would answer questions about being a fan, right? And my answer to those questions is always, I wasn't a Britney Spears fan before the movement. I didn't even really know her songs and stuff. So it's kind of like harder to discredit someone whenever it's like, oh, she just actually noticed this was a human rights violation, and then she just wanted to help, and she doesn't even know anything about Britney Spears. Plus, I was always talking about constitutional violations and stuff, right? This is May. This is 4 months ago. So y'all remember, like a lot has happened since May. But I didn't even take it as a huge insult because I just said, listen, I don't even have to be on it. I just want the message to come across that Britney's constitutional rights were violated. She has asked to get out of the conservatorship before. Nobody has let her out. She's being stolen from and abused and trafficked and extorted. And I didn't care who said that message. I never have to be on a camera or an interview saying that message. If someone is saying it there, then great. So we got this little group of us together. And I'm not going to name the names of who yet, but you'll see it. I'm going to release all this footage. So we got our group together and we actually did dress rehearsals. We did practices. We did trick questions. We had someone mock interview us because we were not going to let Chloe Malos walk us into a trap answer to get a bad soundbite. You know what I mean? So we literally practiced for hours. 2 nights before. We practiced 2 nights before and the night before for like over an hour each time. We got together. All of us took time off of our jobs. Like we were doing it at the nighttime and everything. And we were ready. We had our talking points. We were ready to be Kellyanne Conway in there. Like, we're not going to answer the questions you're asking. We're going to answer the questions we want the information to get out of. And we told Chloe a lot of explosive things in that interview. And in fact, it was the first time that I really hinted to anyone in the mainstream media what happened with my work situation, where the team conservatorship tried to come and make my employer shut me up. I mentioned that in the interview. This was 4 months ago. Chloe just sat on all of this footage. So we got together with Chloe, and before she started recording the interview, she said, I just want to clear the air here because it's really weird. I've received all kinds of threats because of my coverage on this issue, like death threats. And I was like, I don't believe that, but maybe. So just out of an abundance of caution, we were like, okay, we do not support or condone that. And that's messed up. And telling y'all here now, it is messed up. Don't death threaten anyone. Don't even threaten anyone because we don't have to. We have the truth and the facts on our side, and the law is about to come back to being on our side as it always should have been. So there's really no need for that, and you can only just get yourself in trouble. So just don't do it, but I don't really think anybody's doing that. So then she goes, and everyone thinks that I'm on Jamie Spears' payroll. And I was like, this is an odd thing. Like, I didn't say this out loud. I'm just thinking it's myself. Look, listen. I grew up in a trailer on a bayou. I grew up in a town with like 2,000 people or something in it. Like, I don't know how the media works. And I know a lot of y'all are like, oh, you're so naive. I am completely naive. I have no idea how this works. I'm getting an idea now in the last 4 months. So she spends a long time sitting there going like, I'm not on Jamie's payroll. People think I'm on Jamie's payroll, you know, stuff about Jamie's payroll. Then she interviews us. At the end of the interview, she's like, so can we all agree that I'm not on Jamie's payroll? It was so odd. And then one of the 4 people that interviewed the Free Britney activist says, maybe. And this person's, a little more nicer and more cordial and stuff than me. And the person said, well, maybe let's see how, maybe we can make that determination after this airs or whatever. You know what I mean? And so she was trying to get us to say on camera that she's not on Jamie's payroll, I think. Anyway, that was 4 months ago. And all the way along the way, she's kept like stringing us along and saying, oh, I'm going to use this footage for a TV special. I'm going to use it for a TV special. Oh, we couldn't air this special this time. We're going to air it next month. Oh, we're going to do this time, do this thing next month. Well, finally now she's come off of that story and said, oh no, we're not going to be able to use your footage, which is delightful to me because I have it and I'll be using it. So maybe that'll drop right around the same time as her TV special, and we can compare notes as to what exactly it is that she reported and what information she already had 4 months ago. Because in the interview, I caught her in a little bit of a slip up, and we're definitely going to show that part on the video that I post. But in the slip up, she was going, I said, it was like my turn to talk for the interview or whatever. I was talking, and then I said something about Britney already. And this is before Britney spoke. Remember, Britney spoke June 23rd. So this is us like speculating what she might say. And I said, Britney has already asked the court to end this conservatorship. And Chloe goes like in a gotcha type of thing. She goes, but that was never reported, right? I mean, that was never filed publicly, right? Like publicly, there's no court filings that say that, right? I said, well, the court filings for that are public. But my source for that information, Chloe, is actually you. You were the one who wrote an article in 2019 that said Britney asked for her conservatorship to be over. It says CNN, Chloe Maylaws. So I assumed I could cite that to you and you would know what I was talking about. And then instead of going, oh yeah, y'all know what this girl did? It was insane, she said. Me? I wrote that? I said, yeah, you wrote an article in 2019 that said Britney asked the judge to end her conservatorship. She said, well, I would love you to send that to me because I just don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. I do not remember that. Now, 4 months later, I know why she didn't remember that, because she's just been writing what Team Con wanted her to write this whole time, not really putting much journalistic integrity into it. We also had a very heated DM exchange that I will be featuring on that video as well. So, I don't know. I just make that type of voice whenever I'm impersonating people that are being inauthentic. Like, I'm allergic to bullshit. Like, I know that's like a common saying, but I am literally have an allergic reaction to people trying to manipulate me. And it's because as a child, I was manipulated and abused. And so as an adult, it triggers me, and it's some little sixth sense I have where I just know. She told me in my DMs, I have been nothing but kind to you since I interviewed you on camera for CNN. But I remember you interviewing me on camera for CNN, and I also remember it's been 3 months and you never posted that footage. So are you trying to use your like clout to like make me stop calling you fake news because you got the wrong one? You really miscalculated if you think I care about CNN mainstream media clout over the truth. And that's why she wanted all kind of other people to come on there, but she miscalculated on them too because they were prepared to. And that interview was pristine. So I think what I'm going to do is make the full hour and a half video available for people who want to watch that. But I'm also going to post like an edited one where highlights of clips that I think are good. But for transparency purposes, I will be making the entire interview entirely available for anyone who wants to watch it as well. I don't know where though. I got to work with Jake. He's going to help me with the editing because y'all know it's like everything's better when Jake edits it. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's the thing. And I kind of feel the same way about Britney, right? She holds on to this innocence and this pure, it's so hard to put words on, but she has a sort of innocence about her that she just never lost, and like she still has love and this pureness about her. She hasn't been like ruined by the world despite some of the worst things that can happen to someone happening to her. And I aspire to be that way, but naturally I don't really feel like I am. But I do constantly feel so shocked at how people can just lie. Like, we're not talking about it like, oh, well, technically you didn't lie because no, like putting a headline in the media that says Jamie Spears has stepped down. That is a lie. It is a lie. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, pure. How did you get a copy of the footage? I got a copy of the footage because it was all recorded. I was there being interviewed. So it was recorded. My files are very secure and a lot of my stuff is stored all over the place. Hard drives, different computers, different all over the place. Yeah. If you experience BS people at an early age, you get a really good at knowing who these people are before they even speak. Exactly. And that's another thing too. A lot of people in the world are also naive in a way that they don't know that this evil can exist. Like a lot of people for years didn't listen to the Free Britney movement or the Free Britney activists because they were just assuming that parents and a family can never harm their child. If Jamie and Lynn are involved, then it must be going okay. Lance Bass, a family friend, even said that. Oh, I trust her family. Mario Lopez, oh, I trust the people around her. So people don't like actually know that like your family can hurt you. And I think if you have to learn that at a young age, you just get this gift of discernment about people where it's like you don't have this lofty thing in your mind where it's like bad things can't happen. But I still perpetually like get shocked by the fact that people can just lie. Like just looking at you in your face, knowing there's consequences if they get caught and just lie. These headlines are so misleading. Chloe works for CNN, yes. So anyway, this video, I'm wanting it to come out like literally it's made. It's literally just waiting on editing. And so we're not like trying to plan it for a sketch. We're just going to release it when it's ready. But I don't know when it's going to be ready because Jake's working on a lot of stuff right now. So I don't know how far down the pipe it is. But y'all do be looking for that. Do keep an eye out for that. And I want y'all to critically think about the CNN piece when you're watching it and know that Chloe knew most of this stuff 4 months ago and she's not done anything with it. She's buried this footage, which I will make available as soon as the video is posted. And then y'all can do whatever you want with that footage. Make your own decisions. If you have criticisms of stuff I said, we said, go ahead and make them. But guess what? Transparency is what we're going to be going after. Okay. Criticize it if you want to, but what you're never going to be able to say is I kept some kind of secrets. And it has not been a fun time keeping this footage for 4 months because Chloe knows the truth and she's been spinning these stories. And then when I called her fake news on Twitter, she DM'd me and tried to remind me like she did me some kind of favor. Well, I interviewed you I have been nothing but kind to you since I interviewed you on camera for CNN. Okay, so you were kind, so I got to let you tell the public lies? How'd that work? What kind of logic is that? Right. Easier for not falling for the mainstream media pull. Sadly, it isn't just a Brit problem. Whoever controls the narrative can manipulate the story. So happy you stood your ground. Yeah, it is fake news. And then Lisa McCarley got so mad at me because Matt Rosengart, and here we go again. Y'all are going to freak out, but I'm honestly just tired of tippy-toeing around for people's opinions. Matthew Rosengart did an interview with CNN and he told them he's so happy Jamie stepped down. Like what he said in his words was also misleading. And I appropriately and accurately said it's not helping the fake news narrative to get hampered and it's not helping to shut it down whenever Matt Rosengart is also playing into it. And listen, a lot of people said he might have a strategy, this, that, and the other. Your strategy should never depend on misleading the American public. Okay. So, Matt, if you do watch my videos, I very much respect you. I kind of want to be like you when I grow up and all that. But I would encourage you to remember that you should not have a strategy that depends on misleading people, especially in the public. This case has enough of that. But I respect you. I know you have a strategy. You're smart and all that. I'm no problem with him. But what I was saying at the time was, when you take that comment that he made, which was a little misleading, and you put it with the actual lies in the mainstream media, Jamie steps down, Jamie conservatorship over, Britney is free. Like, it takes sometimes an eternity to undo what you do whenever that happens, right? Which is convince people that that's the truth, right? So again, Matthew Rosengart seems to be doing a great job. This was last month. Lots of things have happened since then. I'm over it. But people really came for me. And all the while, Chloe's sitting on this footage. Like, I just feel like totally blackballed by the mainstream media, to be honest. And again, I don't care. I don't really need to be the face of anything, because that's whenever these infiltrators and these assassins start trying to come and look up my old receipts and stuff. That is a lot of stress and trauma and drama, and I don't want it. What I want is the truth to be out there. And none of these mainstream medias have really fully explored the whole truth. The best document, the one that's come the closest to me so far, was the one that aired last night, the New York Times one, where there were real insiders who really broke NDAs, who were really naming names. And I think we should start going back down on that track and that way, and I'll be more satisfied. But again, who am I? I'm not nobody. This is just my opinion. Y'all are entitled and empowered to form your own opinion. You do not have to agree with me. Please do not think that I'm saying that. All right. Okay, anyway. So that's all I have to say for today. Best out of any, call me, I'll protect you. You'll be my bouncer. No, I like definitely need to get like security eventually, because like my Britney research has led me down a few paths that are not necessarily Britney related, but that like very, very powerful people would not want to get out. So I have recently stepped up my security. I'm using different, I'm not going to say how, because why would I do that? But I'm aware of all the warnings that y'all are saying. Really surprised you aren't cited more. Well, I'm not, because what happens if you cite me? What happens if you cite me is people come to my content. So even if they made like a hit piece, like that surprise witness is a whatever problematic because she said something this one time or whatever, right? Like, if they had said that, then people would just come to my page and then they would just watch some of my videos. You only have to watch a few to be like, okay, I don't know. It seems like maybe they're trying to like hide what she said. You know what I mean? So it's like they can't give me any attention. In fact, saying defamation, exactly. So yeah, that's gonna be coming out soon. I'm gonna call Jake and see like if we can get like some type of timeline on it. It may not be coming out until after the hearing. I really don't know. There's like so much going on, and it's not like the biggest deal. It's just more just like another transparency post where it's like, this is how media happens. Like, they come into your inbox like, oh, I was nice to you when I interviewed you. Okay, so I'm supposed to let you get away with lying? Like, I don't know. But anyway, y'all will see that soon. Yeah, I'll read these comments later. Okay. Facts ain't defamation. Talk to y'all later. Love you, Mina. Bye.